Family Law Part 1. We will be studying differences between Mitakshara and Dayabhaga school. What is Hindu joint family? Members of Hindu joint family. What is Hindu coparcenary and its members? Relationship and differences between Hindu joint family and Hindu coparcenary. Lastly, the rights of the coparcener. Under Hindu law, there are two schools. First, Mitakshara school and the second is Dayabhaga school. Now let's discuss the differences between Mitakshara and Dayabhaga school. The very first difference is that Mitakshara is prevalent in whole of the India except West Bengal, Assam, Tripura and the parts of Odisha, whereas Dayabhaga is prevalent in West Bengal, Assam, Tripura and parts of Odisha. The second difference is that Mitakshara is written in later part of 11th century, whereas Dayabhaga is written in early part of the 12th century. Third is that there is distinction between coparcenary and separate property, whereas under Dayabhaga school there is no distinction between coparcenary and separate property. Fourth difference is that under Mitakshara school, there is the rule of survivorship. We can also call it as doctrine of survivorship. That means son has the legal right in the coparcenary property from the birth. Whereas on the other hand, if we see Dayabhaga school, there is the rule of inheritance and no rule of survivorship. We can also say that doctrine of survivorship. That means that son does not have legal right in coparcenary property from the birth. It is only after the death of the ancestor his legal right activates. Now the fifth difference is that under Mitakshara school, only the sole surviving coparcener has the absolute power of management of the property, whereas under Dayabhaga school, father has the absolute right. Now let's understand, what does joint Hindu family mean? It is basically larger body consisting a group of persons who are united by a tie of sapindaship arising by birth, marriage or by adoption. Members of joint Hindu family. First, persons lineally connected in the male line. Collaterals such as brother, uncle, etc. Any person related by adoption, dependents, son of a Hindu male and a Christian woman, wife or widow of deceased male member, maiden daughters as in who are not married. Now here is a note, it also includes illegitimate child. Presumptions to prove the family is joint. The members of the family may reside separately and mess apart. Still, they may remain joint in estate. Separate dwelling and mess is not conclusive proof of separation. Also, jointness is strong in case of real brothers. Now let's come to the topic Hindu coparcenary. It is another unit within the unit of Hindu family system, that is Hindu coparcenary. It is a narrow body than joint Hindu family, as you can see in the diagram. Whereas coparcener is a person who assumes legal right in his ancestral property by birth. Members of Hindu coparcenary. First male up to 3-degree generations from the last common ancestor inclusive of him. Daughters after 2005 amendment, daughters are also included as the member of Hindu coparcenary. Thus, it consists of father's son, son's son, and son's son's son. Members who acquire an interest by birth in the Hindu joint family, that is sons, grandsons and great-grandsons. Lastly, illegitimate son is shareholder in their father's property. Now let's discuss the differences between Hindu joint family and coparcenary. The first major difference is that joint Hindu family is larger body, or we can say it as a big institution, whereas Hindu coparcenary is a limited body or a narrow body. Hindu joint family consists of common ancestors, that is his wife, mother, male descendant, their wife, their widows, maiden daughters. Whereas Hindu coparcenary consists of male who have legal right by birth in the ancestral property. And after 2005 amendment, sisters and daughters are also included. Third difference. Joint Hindu family can acquire by birth, marriage or by adoption, whereas in Hindu coparcenary, property can be acquired only by the birth. Joint Hindu family has no limitations on rule of degree, whereas under Hindu coparcenary, there is a rule degree up to 3. Fifth difference is that joint Hindu family continues even after death, whereas Hindu coparcenary comes to an end with the death of the last survivorship. Lastly, joint Hindu family, every joint Hindu family is not a coparcenary, whereas every coparcenary is a joint Hindu family. Rights of a coparcener. To sum up, we can say that every coparcener has right of joint ownership, right of joint possession, enjoyment and use of joint family property, right of survivorship, right of alienation, of undivided interest under certain circumstances, right to seek maintenance, right to challenge improper alienation made by the karta or by the coparcener, and lastly, right to the partition.